Hi everyone, my name is Minaa B, and for Mental Health Awareness Month, I've partnered with QuickBooks to talk about financial self-care. I find that this is a topic that isn't talked about enough in the mental health space, and honestly, our finances are critical to our mental well-being. We all need finances to thrive. And we all know the phrase, money does not buy you happiness. However, money does grant you access to things that can elevate your mood. Money grants us access to things like food, shelter, clothing. It pretty much helps with meeting most of our basic needs. And so, having a healthy relationship to our finances, as well as having income coming in and having finances that can sustain us, also helps us with managing our mental health. So, when I think about financial self care, it's pretty much having rituals and habits that helps us to reach our financial goals. One of the things that I utilize to help me with financial self care is erecting healthy financial boundaries. So, one of the things that I might do is recognize, am I living within my means? And what I can do is utilize QuickBooks as a way to help me track my expenses as well as track my income flow so that I can know what is my budget and what are the things that I might need to do to grow my income so that I can expand my budget to help me spend on things that I may need as well as want. Another thing that's really important is recognizing what are the things that you might need to say no to and who are the people that you might need to say no to. So we can have boundaries around who we loan money to. And if you are going to loan money, maybe having a set date on when you want that money back. But one of the things that I encourage you to recognize is the same way we say you can't pour from an empty cup, well, you can't give from an empty account. So if you know that you are running low on funds, I encourage you to advise and ask yourself, can I give? Right? Do I have the opportunity right now to give to someone when right now I don't have the means? And that might look like saying no to someone else. Another thing that's really important is tracking your expenses. So one of the things that I try to do is I try to track my expenses on a monthly basis. And this helps me because generally we all have bills coming out every month. And so having an understanding of what's coming in versus what's coming out can also help me with recognizing what my boundaries are around my finances. Because as an entrepreneur, since my finances fluctuate, my boundaries around money might fluctuate as well. Some tips that you can do is start off with recognizing what are your financial goals. What is the number that you feel like you can comfortably live at to meet all of your basic needs while also having some money and some cushion money to pretty much, invest in the things that you want to invest in. Maybe going on a vacation, buying yourself shoes, doing all the things that we do with our money, right? And so that's something that's very important. Another thing I want to talk about is a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset, because our mindset also plays a role in how we see our finances. So someone operating from a scarcity mindset might feel like they never have enough, or they might feel like they have to continue to do more and more and more because you fear that what you have isn't enough or it's going to run out and the money is just going to vanish or something's going to happen where you're going to be depleted of your resources. And this mindset can come from people who may have grown up in poverty. But maybe as an adult, you've experienced some things around your finances that you've been running low on money, or you've faced unemployment during this pandemic. And so sometimes our experiences can lead to a shift in how we see money, and therefore we're afraid to spend it. One of the things we want to try to do is shift to an abundance mindset that teaches us that we are worthy of more and that we are worthy of the things that we have access to. By shifting to that mindset, we can step into the world of gratitude for being grateful for the things that we have, but also recognizing that it is okay to be grateful for what you have and know that you are still deserving of more. And so Having an abundance mindset helps you to recognize what you actually do have, where a scarcity mindset will have you looking at the numbers that you have in your account and thinking that this is not enough, especially because you might get really focused on what if scenarios, and those what if scenarios are not in the moment. So one of the things you want to try to do is be realistic about your finances. And some things that you might want to utilize is having a savings account while also having emergency backup accounts so that if an emergency does happen, you do have the finances stored in place, but you also have money that you can utilize to meet your basic needs and goals in life and spend the money on the things that you might want to spend it on. Now, to shift for people who are entrepreneurs like myself, one of the things that I find is very important around financial boundaries is knowing what you should say yes to and knowing what you should say no to. When you are operating from a place where your income can fluctuate often as an entrepreneur, sometimes you might feel inclined to say yes to projects that you actually don't value. And you're saying yes because there's a price tag attached to it. But then after saying yes, you realize that this is actually not something that I'm passionate about. It's not something that's meaningful to me. And I just feel like I'm doing it for the money, but I feel drained, I feel stressed, and I feel like it's impacting my mental health. One of the things that I encourage people who are entrepreneurs to do is to always think about your business's values and mission. And ask yourself, these projects that are coming in, does it align with my practice? Does it align with what I want to do? And also think about that scarcity mindset. Am I saying yes to things because I fear there won't be enough? Recognize that when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So when you start to say yes to all of these different projects, it can be really important for you to recognize that you're filling your plate and you're filling your schedule. When we say yes to doing work, that is our labor, and that requires our time, our effort, and our energy. And you want to make sure that you're giving your time, effort, and energy to the things that are in alignment with your worth and your values. Because if it's not, you're potentially saying no to something that could be coming your way or already has come your way, that now you don't have the energy to give to that thing because you're saying yes to all of these projects that really aren't in alignment with your growth, but you're feeding this negative mindset, you're feeding this scarce mindset instead of feeding your worth and your value. So those are some tips that I want to share with you all around managing your financial well-being. I did receive some questions from you all as well on financial self-care, so I'm here to answer them. So the first question I received from someone is, how can I not feel guilty about not treating myself to something expensive, but not out of my budget? So let's talk about guilt real quick. Guilt means I did something bad. Now we have to assess how we see our relationship to money. And when guilt is tied into that, we have to ask ourselves, what is bad about spending money? Where did this mindset come from that if we treat ourselves to things that we like and enjoy, that makes us bad people, or that the act of doing that is bad? When we can shift our mindset around how we see spending our money, it can help us develop healthier habits when it comes to buying things and treating ourselves to the things that we actually like and enjoy. So one of the things I also assess, and I encourage you to assess, is ask yourself, what makes you also feel like you're not deserving of expensive things or deserving of treating yourself to the things that you like, especially when you can afford it? The next question I received is how to balance treat yourself desires or feelings with saving good and prioritizing funds. So when it comes to treating ourselves, it kind of goes back to that same narrative of what do we feel we are deserving of? As people, when we want to save our money, we have to remember too that saving our money is not necessarily going to be the thing that grants us wealth. There are other avenues that I encourage people to utilize that helps with actually building wealth and building your finances. So one of the things that you might want to utilize is tracking your expenses as well as tracking your income flow so that when you are in a position where you want to treat yourself, you can assess and see if you have it within your budget And if you don't, then I encourage you to think about what can you do to shift that around? And is this something that you can hold off on? But also, if you spend your money, ask yourself, what is coming up for me in that moment? Does it make me feel like a bad person? Does it make me feel like I don't deserve it? And I encourage you to sit with those thoughts as well so that you can see that spending money on yourself and the things that you deserve and feel that you are worthy of is actually essential to managing your financial well-being. My next question is, what are ways to manage doubts about earning money and set larger money goals? So, when it comes to setting larger money goals, that might mean you might have to shift some of the habits that you have around money, as well as how you're gaining money. If we want to set larger money goals, but we're still in the same income bracket, that can become difficult over time. One of the things that I encourage you to do is ask yourself, what are my financial goals and what are the habits that I might change, as well as circumstances, including the job that you're working or the different ways that you're earning money, so that you can save more. But if you're trying to set larger money goals from the same starting point, that can become difficult over time. My next question is, as a small business owner, I wake up in the middle of the night wondering how I'm going to get all my work done or where the next job or client is going to come from. How can I manage that seesaw of emotions? So, one of the things I encourage you to do as a small business owner and entrepreneur is first, when it comes to identifying how you're going to get all your work done, you are in control of your business, which means that you have to figure out what the boundaries are around your business and how you can start delegating tasks. Maybe you might have to hire out because as a business owner, you can't do everything alone. So at some point, you're going to have to pivot and ask yourself, do I need to start hiring out to help with getting some of the business goals met and to help me getting some of the things that need to be done that requires a team and not one person? Now, when it comes to trying to figure out where your next job or client is going to come from, I encourage you to do an audit of the work that you've been doing and see what is working that is actually bringing clients or jobs in. Doing this can be essential because as business owners, we're doing so many different things, and there are going to be some things that work and some things that don't. So planning in advance does require auditing so that we can see how are we bringing in our previous clients and what can we do to continue that track record so that we are bringing more people in. So those were all of the questions that I can answer for today. But as I shared earlier, this video is sponsored by QuickBooks as we talk about financial self-care for managing our well-being. So make sure you're doing what you can to take care of your mental health, not just in May, but every single day. And think about what are you going to do to practice financial boundaries and assess what are your financial goals.